Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Moviesnips. Today we're going to be talking about some of the Nazi architectural wonders that are prominently featured in the TV series The Man in the High Castle. Before I get further into this, please remember to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. Some of you may be familiar with German architect Albert Speer, who also served as Minister of Armaments and War Production in Nazi Germany during most of World War II. A close ally and friend of Adolf Hitler, he was eventually convicted at the Nuremberg trials and sentenced to 20 years in prison. He was inspired by grand plans and immense architectural vision when it came to designing the buildings and layout of Germania, a remodeled version of Berlin that was to become the capital of the Greater Germanic Reich, had the Nazis managed to win the war. Speer's plan, developed in close collaboration with Hitler, who understood the nationalistic power of imposing architecture and urban design, was to transform Berlin. The old city was to be reborn as Welthauptstadt, Germania, translated into Germania World Capital, the seat of the new Nazi Empire. I'm going to be discussing some of Speer's architectural projects in the context of The Man in the High Castle, and how some of these projects actually come to fruition and can be seen in several episodes of this TV show. Speer's centerpiece projects were to be built along a proposed 5-kilometer, 3-mile long boulevard known as the Prachtallée, translated into the Avenue of Splendors in central Berlin. Many of the design and layout elements of Speer's projects were inspired by other famous European landmarks, such as St. Peter's Basilica in Rome and the Champs-Élysées and the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. This grand boulevard would have been 2.5 times the length of the Champs-Élysées and at least a few lanes wider. This grand boulevard would have been flanked by large administrative buildings on each side. The boulevard would run south from a crossroads with the east-west axis close to the Brandenburg Gate, following the course of the old Sieges-Sallee Victory Monument through the Tiergarten before continuing down to an area just west of Tempelhof Airport. This new north-south axis would have served as a parade ground and would have been closed off to traffic. Traffic would have been diverted into an underground highway running directly underneath the parade route. Sections of this highway's tunnel structure were built and still exist today. No work was ever begun above ground, although Speer did relocate the Sieges-Sallee to another part of the Tiergarten in 1938 in preparation for the avenue's construction. The plan also called for the building of 2 new state-of-the-art railway stations, as the planned north-south axis would have severed the tracks leading to the old Anhalter and Potsdamer stations, forcing their closure. We do get occasional snapshots of this grand boulevard in a few episodes of The Man in the High Castle, where we see multi-lane traffic below and futuristic monorails zooming by overhead. Speer planned to build a massive triumphal arch towards the southern end of the avenue that would have been based on the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, housing the names of the 1,800,000 German soldiers who died during World War I. This arch was to be three times as tall as the Paris Arch, rising to an immense height of about 100 meters, 330 feet, and about 150 meters, 490 feet in width. It would have outright dwarfed the arch in Paris. The arch was meant to erase the shame of the 1919 Treaty of Versailles, instead transforming Germany's defeat in World War I into a victory that would mark the beginning of Germany's rise as a world superpower. Doubts persisted at the time as to whether the marshy Berlin soil could hold the weight of this giant arch, and as well as other monumental structures. For this reason, Speer ordered the construction of the Schwerbelastungskörper in 1941, a large concrete cylinder located at the intersection of the Dundenstraße to test the ground in preparation for building the arch. Ultimately, the test failed as it became evident that the marshy ground couldn't support the weight of the giant arch. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we get snapshots of this giant arch in any episodes of The Man in the High Castle. The large open forum known as the Groberplatz or Grand Plaza, with an area of around 350,000 square meters, that's 3,800,000 square feet, situated at the northern end of the Grand Boulevard, would have been the centerpiece of the proposed project. This square was to be surrounded by the most impressive buildings of all, with the Führer's Palace on the west side on the site of the former Kroll Opera House, the 1894 Reichstag building on the east side, and the Third Reich Chancellery and High Command of the German Army on the south side, on either side of the square's entrance from the Avenue of Splendors. On the north side of the plaza straddling the River Spree, Speer planned to build the grandest building and focal point of the New Berlin, an enormous domed building known as the Volks Hall, or translated into the People's Hall, designed by Hitler himself. Had it been built, the Volks Hall would still be the largest enclosed space in the world today. Although war came before work could begin, all the necessary land was acquired and the engineering plans for the Volks Hall were worked out. The building would have been over 200 meters, or 660 feet high, and 250 meters, or about 820 feet in diameter, 16 times larger than the dome of St. Peter's Basilica. It would have been enormous, with a seating capacity of 180,000 people. The dome would have sat atop a massive stone podium, 350 meters by 350 meters. It's 1,033 by 1,033 feet, and about 75 meters or 250 feet high. From ground level, the dome would have been almost 290 meters or 960 feet high, which is nearly the height of the Empire State Building. The dome was so enormous that when it was packed with triumphant chanting Nazis, their breath would have caused condensation to form on the underside of the dome, creating droplets of rain. A giant glass oculus would have also been constructed on the top side of the dome, measuring 46 meters or 150 feet in diameter. This project, like the Triumphal Arch, would probably not have been feasible in real life since the ground below wasn't solid enough to support its weight. The temple-like nature of the domed Volks Hall was ultimately intended for public worship of Hitler and the Nazi doctrine at large, with Speer stating in an interview after the war that Hitler believed that as centuries passed, his huge domed assembly hall would acquire great holy significance and become a hallowed shrine, as important to National Socialism as St. Peter's in Rome is to Roman Catholicism. Such cultism was at the root of the entire plan. In the Man in the High Castle TV show, the building does make several appearances. On one occasion, John Smith meets with Adolf Hitler in the Führer's office, which was located within the upper levels of this giant building. On this visit, Smith delivered a secret tape to the Führer, revealing scenes of an alternate future in which the Allies had won the war. Fictionalized Führer Heinrich Himmler could also be seen addressing large crowds from the podium in the Great Hall of this building. This building was also used as a center of operations for the top brass of the German military and housed the War Room of the Reich. Top officials, including Smith, would convene here on more than one occasion to plan the invasion of various territories that the Nazis had not yet occupied. We also get exterior shots of this building in several episodes of this TV show. Another entirely fictionalized building that is depicted in numerous episodes of this TV show is the SS headquarters building that dominates the skyline of New York City. It is located in Manhattan's east side along the East River, just south of the Queensboro Bridge. This building clearly dwarfs even the tallest surrounding buildings. I couldn't get a figure on how many stories it is, but just by comparing it with the other tall buildings that surround it, I would put it at least 130 to 140 stories tall. John Smith's office is located somewhere in the upper levels of the building. The SS is chiefly responsible for maintaining Nazi authority and power throughout Nazi America, and its headquarters in New York is thus a focal point for exemplifying this power. Consequently, it is also at the center of efforts to crush the American resistance movement that opposes the Nazi regime. Contemporary architects and urban planners who have analyzed Speer's planned city in recent years claim it would probably have been nightmarish to live in, hostile to pedestrians who would regularly have been sent underground to cross streets, and with a chaotic road system, as Speers did not believe in traffic lights or trams. Citizens would have been made to feel variously impressed and even somewhat intimidated by the towering structures around them. I'd like to thank you for watching my video today. If you think I've missed anything or would like to add anything to this discussion, please comment down below. Please also remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and please check out my channel for more lore videos.